Thank you for clicking on this video, and today what I'm going to share with you is the part 2 of creating Dart classes like a pro. In the previous video, I shared on how to get this buggy class into a less buggy class. And if you thought object creation stops there, I wish. So in this video, I'm going to share on how to get your classes immutable, or what the meaning of immutability means, how to create your own getter and setter, and how to use the toString methods to return you readable strings. So let's begin. So you just finished the project data class that your senior developer has tasked you to do. So you then go to the Kanban board and drag your task card from the code review column to the approved column as your senior developer approved it. Once you are about to take a break, your senior developer gave you another task, which is to create a data class. Then you tell yourself, I'm going to take a break first.
3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Alright, you are back with your short break and you drag the task card into the progress column. Then you open the user data class task card and it says that you need to create a Dart data class with the following fields: name, ID, and birthday. Alright, simple enough. You then create a simple user class with what you have learned previously. Alright, name parameter is present, check, and the assertions are present to prevent any null or empty value for each fields, check. This is so easy, you said. Took you only like 5 minutes. Then you go drag the task card from in progress to the code review column. You are so proud of yourself. Well, if you have watched my videos, it's not this short. Well, 5 minutes later, the user data class task card was back into the progress column. Then you ask your senior developer why, and he said the class object that you have created is able to change the properties. If you were to create a user object, you can override it, which is not supposed to happen, which brings to the first point: immutability. Well, immutability means the state of not changing. You might have heard the word immutable, which is the same definition, which states that it is something that is unable to change. And you also might heard the word mutable, which is the opposite, which means able to change. Now in our current class, we have a name that can be changed or mutable. Therefore, we want to make our user fields, all of them, to be immutable. This is because we don't want to have any unexpected side effects. However, this is usually according to what your business logic or logic have to do with your product. Therefore, this is just an example use case. If we were to create a user with the following value, the name as Ha, ID as 12, and the birthday as date time now or today's date, which is the 3rd of August 2020 as of current recorded date. Then if you were to print the username, it will be Ha. However, if you were to assign the username after the print statement as to Chu, it will not be Ha, but Chu. Ha Chu. Get it? Anyway, therefore this class is not immutable. How do we then make this class immutable? Well, you write the word immutable, like literally. There is this tag that's called @immutable, which does not make your class immutable, but it just gives you hints on what to change to make the class immutable. And there will be a warning that says this class is marker as immutable, but one or more of its instance fields are not final: the username, ID, and birthday. So if you were to put the final keywords as such, you see the warning message disappears. And this might explain why you create class objects with final fields. The reason? Immutability. Now, if you were to do what we have previously done, which is to override a name property of an object, there will be an error that says name can't be used as a setter because it's final. Try finding a different setter or making name non-final. I will explain what setter is in the later part of this video. Therefore, our class is now immutable. You go back to your Kanban board and drag the user data class card from the in progress column to the code review column. Then you saw it go back to the in progress column and you thought it was a glitch. So you open the card and surprise, surprise, there is more work to be done. Now you have to create a getter method to get the user age, which comes to the next point. Getter method. Getter method are simply methods that returns a value. If you see the syntax of how to create a getter method, it will look something like this. So you have the return type first, which is integer in this case, then the word get, which represent this is a getter method, and also the next one is the getter method name, which is called favorite number. And then there is this absence of the parameter, or you could say the brackets. This is because a getter method will only use the value or data stored in the object. And lastly, you have the curly brackets that holds the logic of the getter method. Since this is a simple return statement, we can do a shorthand that looks like an arrow and the return value as well. In summary, it is like a function in a class without the parameters that returns a value. Like for this example, the value is 12. Now, if we were to have this example, we will have a getter method inside. And how we use the getter method in this example is we are just going to type the getter method name, since there is no brackets for the parameters. Get it? So there is no parameters in the getter method, so there isn't a need for a parameters or the brackets inside our favorite number getter method. Moreover, if you were to print out the user ID, it also has its own getter method. Why is this so? Well, inside the Flutter documentation, all instance variable in an object generate an implicit getter method. That means if you have a field that is called ID, then you automatically have a getter method inbuilt without writing any code. Wow, that is so great, so much efficiency. So now, with this knowledge in creating a getter method, how do we then calculate the age just using the birthday date time data? Well, it's actually pretty simple. You can use the current date time by using the datetime now function and calls the year property. And you can deduct it with the birthday year that's inside the user object. And that is how you get someone's age. So let's see this in action. If I were to create a user with a birthday that is on the 1st of January 2020, then I print the user age and it will print out the user's age according, which is 20 years old. Damn, I'm getting old. Now, with the getter method done, you can go back to the Kanban board. And to make sure or doubly make sure there isn't any update, you look into the card if you see anything that is missed out. And lo and behold, you have a setter method that you need to create. Which brings to the next section of this video, the setter method. If you have paid any attention closely, setter method is already implemented before the immutability part. That means any fields created in the object has a getter and also a setter by default. So non-final instance variables generates an implicit setter method. Now the thing is, setter method for the age would have to change the user's birthday. Therefore, you would sadly have to remove the immutable and also the final keyword for the field birthday. And so, how do you set the age? Before I tell you, to create a setter method, you have to write the word set and then the setter name, which is the age. And also you could see that this looks something like a function. So you have the parameter and the function body. In other words, you will have the parentheses or brackets and the curly brackets. As you can see here, there is a warning message that says you need to have parameters. With that in mind, the answer is, first of all, we need to add in the parameters, which is a type integer with a variable years. And the answer to this is basically you want to overwrite the birthday data with a new datetime object, but with the years as updated accordingly. The new datetime object will remain its birthday and birthday month. However, the year you would have to change according to how many years you set. So a simple deduction of the current years with the datetime.now.year with the age of years would do. Therefore, if you were to override the current age of the user with the number 12, what do you think the birthday year of the user is? So it's pretty simple. It would say 2008 as we deduct the current year of this video, 2020, and then we deduct it by 12. So current year 2020 minus 12 years, we will get 2008 for the year of the birthday. So now when you're about to finish your task, your senior developer says, before I test your code, can you create a toString into human readable form as such below? So he expects if we were to print an object or a user object, the print statement will look something like this, something that we can read from, which brings to the last point of this video, the toString method. The toString method just returns a string representation of an object. If you were to print a normal object, for example, we have the user object here, it will print out an instance of user, which doesn't give us any valuable information. Let's say we have a user class to override this. So you can type in an override tag with the toString method. And the thing is, this is the toString method that is available in any object you create in Dart. Then you have the default logic of the toString, which basically return the super way of toString. No, I'm not talking about super user. Super represents the inherited object this object come from. Leave in the comment section down below if you want to know more about what this super means. Now, in order for us to change the string method, what we need to do is we need to remove the super and add in our way of printing out the string representation of the user object. Therefore, the string we want to return is as such. This string with the 3 inverted commas is called a multi-string. That means you can add new lines in this string as such. So inside this string, we can have string interpolation, which means we can use the variables that we have over here to be added into the string, and it will return the value accordingly. So a simple quiz for you. Using string interpolation, how do we then format our birthday as such? Well, if you think you need a package for it like internalization, you are wrong. You actually just create variables as such. So you have a year, month, and day variable, and you get it from the reference of the birthday in your current user object. So then you will use these variables inside the string interpolation, and it works well. Now you're confident that your task is done with the string interpolation and the toString override method, and you go back to the Kanban board. And finally, you can drag the task card to the code review and you wait for your senior developer. And then your senior developer moved it to the approved column. Yes, rejoice! In summary, you have learned what immutability means and how it can help your data to have less bugs. Moreover, you learned how to create a getter and setter method to read and write values according to your specific needs. Lastly, you learned to override the toString method to print out human readable statements about your object. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and comment down below on what topic of Flutter or Dart I should go through next. Don't forget to subscribe and stay safe and all the best. Bye.